we're going to trigger the next character's turn. So we're going to create a function here, circle with a plus, and say next turn. And we're going to double click, not double click, we're gonna go into next turn. Yeah, I mean double click unless you have it open, but we're going to go into next turn. And we're going to add a branch. We're going to create a variable that's going to keep track of what turn we're on. And it's going to be this little circle with a plus, and it's going to say turn index, and it's going to be an integer. File and save. I know we have an issue. We'll go fix it. Turn index, and then we're going to grab our turn order list, grab it out, say get. We're going to get the length of it. So that's how many there are total that need to go, right? That's how many characters need to have a turn. We're going to grab our turn order, our turn index, and we're going to get it. We're going to drag off of that and search for plus plus. You're going to see this increment int. That's what we're going to click on. That's going to add 1 to our variable and actually change it. So it's the same as doing like plus equals if you've done that before in coding. I'm sorry. What am I using a branch for? Oh, no, I don't need that branch yet. That's for later. Okay, so we're going to add 1 to the turn index because we're going to the next turn. We're going to check if we still have more turns left. So we're going to look at how many there are and what turn we're on and compare it. So we're going to search for less, and we're going to see if the turn we're on is less than the number of turns we have left. And if it is, so this is a branch. And if it is less than, then we still have more turns. So we want to do character turn, which is that function we made in here to do the character's turn. Every character after the first one, because we're only implementing one ally, right? Every character after the first one will be an enemy, so their actions are all going to be auto. If you're implementing more than one ally, like if you wanted to make that work, you'd have to like modify this a little bit. But otherwise it'll mostly be the same, but you have to modify it a little bit. And our character index that we're going to do is our next one. So we went to the next person. That's the index that we want to access. That's the next person's turn. If we are done, so if our turn index matches the number of people that need to go, so our last person went, then we are going to reset our turn index to 0. And we are also going to, let's see what I want to do here. Yeah, that's what I want to do for now. So that's going to be our next turn, and then that will trigger, and then this should loop. Let's go to where I think we were missing a binding. Yeah, so in bind events here, for bind event to on turn, we want to do our apply damage that we made. And apply damage, just as a review, does this, right? And does our take damage function, which we wrote in the character, which also triggers an on death, which we'll do later. So let's play it and test it. Attack. Oh, let me make sure that I'm actually triggering this correctly. So let's go through all the pieces. So battle buttons. It's going to do start turn with attack. It's going to cast it to out of game mode and do attack with that action. And then, so we're going to go to character turn. It's going to get a character from the turn order. It's going to call battle turn, which is right now just printing strings. So that's where we were missing it. So battle turn and base character. We actually want to switch these two out now. So attack is going to call the attack function in the character. And auto is also going to call the attack function. The reason why we have it different is because if you end up implementing special attack, you'll need to choose between that, or if you implement anything else differently, we want to just set it up so that we can have the enemy choose different actions if you want to. Like maybe you want some enemies to defend or do a debuff, I don't know. But for now, and for the base game, if you want to do it, they're just both going to attack. So let's try it now. Attacks. It looks like the enemy is not attacking correctly, so we'll check that. All right, so we do attack in here. We play the animation. We don't loop it. If you don't have this, you'll just have this part. Like if you're not playing animation, you'll just have this part and you won't have the binding, but you will need to trigger end turn. So if you're not doing an animation, make sure that you're just triggering end turn manually at the end here, and it'll just go a lot faster. There won't be any pauses. But if you're doing the animation, you'll do it this way. And then we have our end turn function, like it's called, right here. And we have switching back to idle, which again, you only have to have this if you have animations. Otherwise, you'll just have this part. And this part takes the current damage that we have and gives the type and calls end turn. On end turn, what that will do is in our battle game mode, we did, when we set up the character, oh, see, this is where we're missing it. So I set up the character, that's why I walk through it. It's good to walk through it. So we set up the character, we added them to the turn order, but then we're also going to bind events. So that's this function that we made, bind events, and we're going to give it the character. If we double click on this and go into it, we are binding event on end turn. So when we hit this point and we call it in the character, it's going to say, oh, I know what I need to do. I need to call apply damage. So when we call this and we're like, hey, I'm done. My turn's over. Throw up. I did it. Then the battle game mode is going to be like, oh, I know what to do. When they say that, I said I was going to apply damage. So then it's going to do this function. Player's going to take damage, all that stuff. Right now, my enemy, by the way, has less than full health starting out, but that's fine for testing. So let's attack. Oh, no damage, and enemies aren't going. So we'll still have to test out a couple other things. First of all, we do need to make sure that all of our characters have minimum and maximum damage set, which I don't think we set that individually. So I'm going to go into Joe, and I'm going to do this little cog and say show inherited variables to show the parent variables. And I have min damage and max damage, and they're both 0 right now. So for min damage, I'm going to have him do at least 1 damage and up to 5, and you can, up to 5 for now. And you can change this, especially like for testing, if you want them to do like a lot of damage or a little bit of damage. And then I'm going to go into my enemy, same thing. This is the only enemy I'm spawning right now, so I'm only going to worry about them. I'm going to make sure I'm going to turn their HP back to max. And I'm going to have them do damage as well. I'm actually going to have them do more damage because maybe I want to like test death of the player. So we'll do 5 to 8. And now we hit attack, player attacks, and he should do damage to one of them, and he's doing damage to a random one of them. You can see it's kind of switching off. Obviously the enemies aren't attacking, so we need to figure out why. So let's look at what's happening with auto, because that's what the enemies are supposed to do. So in our base character, we're going to go back to battle turn. On auto, they are supposed to attack, so they should set their current damage, switch their animations, and trigger their enter, and all that should happen. So let's go look at maybe the battle game mode and make sure that we're adding to this allies list correctly. So let's go to our setup character. So we have this function. Where is it? Our spawn function. Spawn character. So in our spawn character function, we know we're spawning them correctly, but we did add this part, so maybe this isn't working correctly. So we're getting the type of the spawned actor, and we are adding them to allies. Let's set breakpoints and see what's happening. So it looks like it did successfully add them to allies, so that's really good. So I'm going to remove this breakpoint. We're going to continue. Oh, I'm going to get out of this loop. No, just continue. There we go. And then I'm going to set a breakpoint on attack because I need to figure out why the enemies aren't attacking. And the enemies should specifically be going into, where are we at? They should be going into our base character, and when they do attack, it should specifically go to this auto one. So I'm going to add a breakpoint there. And I'm going to have the debug object be one of these spawn guys when it's their turn. So attack. So clearly it's never going there, so it's not even triggering their turns, which is a problem. So let's look at back where it should trigger their turn. So, oh, I know why. Because we didn't, wait. No, we added the binding. Wait for apply damage, yes. Okay, so back here, what do we call our next turn? I think that's what the binding I might be missing. Okay, so in our battle game mode, we first do character turn, we get their turn. We do their turn. When we call on end turn, it should do our binding and go to apply damage. I am missing it here. Okay. So then we need to call our next turn function here. That's what I'm missing. So this is apply damage in the RPG game mode. And we make sure we're doing our next turn. Let's try it out. Hey, they all take their turn. And they all murderify me. And they die.